to the Amazon European Masters. We are 2-1. K-Corp are a game away from getting themselves into those finals. Back-to-back European Masters finals at that. And then also setting up a chance for an all-LFL final pending that result of Misfits Premier and Fnatic Rising tomorrow. They look good. They look untouchable. And actually, Big have got a lot to do to dig themselves back out and take this to a game 5.
It's been very dominant after that game 1. Game 1, which Big was able to take. Okay, maybe we've got a series on our hands. It's going to be explosive. It's going to be fun. Game 2 was very one-sided for KC. Game 3, similarly as well. It's like they're able to find ways to win even without completely stomping the early game. And it's like Big, when Big are bringing their game to KC, it's still not enough. It's going to be really hard for them to turn this series around.
I like what Trouble said on the desk. You want to either get some mid lane prio for Rika because it's clearly hampering you in terms of what you can do for the jungle, or pick a global for him. You know, TF and Galio, those kind of things actually worked out. I know Galio's second game wasn't so good, but like, if you're not going to draft him prio, draft him something that can influence the side lanes. Because something like the Silas, even though I think it had value in the comp that he was playing into, they just weren't able to make it work. And that mid lane prio has been a real problem. The fact that Cinkrof has been able to unlock Saken over and over again. You talked about it being such an important part of the way that K-Corp like to play, and you could see it in all of the games that K-Corp have won. It has been about Saken being unlocked and roaming for free, as well as the fact that Targamas, as Orcs mentioned right at the start, acts as that second jungler. And I think K-Corp in general need to put a lid, Big needs to put a lid on Saken, because otherwise I don't really see a good way that Big can deal with this. Question
is there a lid big enough to fit the huge Tupperware that is Saken? I'm not really sure, honestly. Here's the Blanc is that's, I mean, you're not going to play against that. That's just one ban that's you just lost completely because it's always dedicated to the Blanc. The Ryze has been really painful as well. When you fall back on the Azir, like, sure, it's more of a scaling champion. It's not great for skirmishing, but it's the pure priority that he's had in that mid lane in that last game. Again, really sets up Cinkrof, sets up the rest of his team. It's so hard to play against. Big have to have answers here, because if they, you know, with this Camille down, I don't think they're going to go for a similar like Jarvan Galio combo. That didn't work before. Twisted Fate might be an option if you want to get Rika some pressure in that side lane. He has played it before. He's good on the champion. I think it fits his playstyle. It fits what Big want to do. We'll see.
Is Aurelia is up, by the way? Is Aurelia is not banned? Yeah, I mean, there could be an option for him to sort of pilot that. But when you have an AD jungler, it does kind of limit some of your damage profile, which is something that I think Big will have to be a little concerned about. With the Aurelia open and you locking in Viego in the jungle, it does mean that it's not always 100% necessary to have a balanced damage profile, but it does help if you're not able to kind of snowball things, especially now that you know that someone on the enemy team can, you know, comfortably build armor in the form of Jarvan. So we'll see. K-Corp have got the Ryze though, and they're going to lock that in for Saken. It is a Ryze Jarvan combo here for the K-Corp guys.
And I honestly think like Ryze into Aurelia, it's quite tough to play Aurelia in that matchup, purely because obviously there's, bless you, range advantage on the side of Ryze. But at the same time, you just lock her down. You know, you literally just like slap her in with the Rune Prison, and then that's that. You know, she can't hop around anymore. Big are going to go back to some more familiar territory here with that Galio in that mid lane for Rika, and Keduii going on his comfort pick as well. Like, he's very good in this Tristana. At this point, now you're facing elimination. Things have not gone particularly well for you in the past few games. Just pick what you're comfortable with. Pick what you're good at. I feel like that's what Big's main focus is right here, rather than the specific team comp. They just want to play things that they know they're comfortable.
We're going to see the Ezreal. It worked so well for xMatty in the last game, really pumping out the damage, and he's going to lock that in. Just a really safe laner that can actually match that range that the Tristana will gain throughout the later stages of the game. Now we're into the second ban phase. Karmine Corp really not deviating too far from the paths that they've already shown us. Just again, strong team fight potential, strong ability to control objectives, giving themselves. I think the one thing that has really unlocked Karmine Corp is giving Matty the extra range to allow them more options in the way that they want to approach fights. I think that has been such an influential part of the way that Karmine Corp have been able to change their game style up here, and they're happy to do that again for Matty with the Varus out of the window. We're going to see the Jace ban here, so we're not going to see Melonik get his hands on that. Braum comes through, which I actually think was super influential for Targamas. Some of the counter engages that he had with that Glacial Fissure were pretty nutty in the previous game, and I don't at all blame Big for wanting that gold.
I was going to say, I think Leona was a great choice for seaz here, but does not work if if that's banned away. So yeah, Casey's going to take that one down. Braum, I absolutely agree with you as well. I think he was really instrumental when Big found those engages, jumped in, and then Targamas was able to just slap that down, slap down the Braum abilities. Really tough to find that fight in the end, and Casey's disengage and re-engage was really good, honestly, last game. So we'll see what Big decide to do, because obviously my eyes here are on Big, because they're the ones who have to innovate here. They're the ones who really have to pull something out, because they're on the back foot right now. You've got a lot of dive forward, a lot of jump in. You want some more. You definitely want some more engage right here. And you just want tools to just go in and go forward and go crazy. We still have the Kennen open, but I don't think it's particularly great into someone like Jarvan. And you're going to have to blind pick it, whatever it is. You're going to get that last pick over to Cabo. But either way, you just want to throw everything forward right here to match with the rest of your comp, and you need some engage on the side of Big.
Going to see the Bard come through, so kind of a long-range lane, but obviously we're not expecting Targamas to spend too much time in the laning phase with xMatty here. It does give them some disengage potential. The Rell comes through. It was one of the tools that worked so well for Big in the first game. Gives them plenty of counter engage. You can deal with the Jarvan engage nicely too. Gives you some pick potential alongside the Galio. Yes, okay, you don't have the Camille this time round, but the Rell Galio combo worked really well for Big in that first game. So maybe looking to do the same thing here, but we will need to see. And I like the Kennen. I really like the Kennen here. I know there is obviously counter pick potential, but a lot of the counter picks that I think Cabo would usually deviate to like the Camille and the Lee Sin, are gone already. So, you know, I like the Kennen here because it offers you a really easy teamfight tool to execute versus this range. You know, like you can just jump in, and if you find a flank onto Matty or Saken, you could be in a really strong spot.
No. Surely that's not a flex Jarvan.
It could be a flex Jarvan. It is a flex Jarvan, I think, unless that is Trundle top, which I really doubt. That's Trundle jungle for sure. That Cabochard straight up playing Jarvan top, which is, by the way, a pretty good answer into Kennen.
Yeah. All right. I assume that's what we're going to see here. We are going to see that Jarvan top. I wasn't expecting that, but of course, if there's one guy who will play a jungler in top lane, it's Cabochard. He already does it with the Lee Sin. I think it's a really tough matchup as well. You've really got your sights set on Melonik here with that engage, plus the Cataclysm to stop the Kennen from running rampant in these team fights. And pairing up with a Trundle as well, like, oh my goodness, how do you get away from Trundle Jarvan when you're playing Kennen? You really can't. I think early on as well, you're going to have superior skirmishing. So this is a bit of a 5-head move right here from KC to go with that last minute flex. Yeah, Big really want to throw all their tools towards you, just go completely insane, just like balls deep, going for the dogpile comp. And I think KC have drafted some pretty good answers to that one right there, and they've got some pretty good forward momentum of their own.
Yeah, I think also, as you said, like even if you're looking for a flank, if the vision is there, like you're going to get pillared, you're going to get cataclysmed, and then some of those flanks are going to be hard to see. But we are heading into game, everybody. It could be the final game of the series if Karmine Corp continue to play the way they have. But you know, we've seen Berlin International Gaming win one; they can definitely do it again. Let's see how they tackle Karmine Corp in the 4th game of the series.
Going to be very difficult right now for the last remaining representative of the Dark region, Berlin International Gaming, previous winners in 2019 on the first game of this series, but since then really been up against it against KC, previous winners in 2021 spring, looking to do that for the first time, get the back-to-back victory in EU Masters here in summer. Of course, they'd have to go through the winner of Misfits Fnatic, which we will see tomorrow, but right now 2-1 up in the series with the way they've been playing as well. You have to consider them favorites right here, and Big really need to dig deep and find this win to avoid elimination.
And Big have been struggling in the early game, which has classically been the area that they've excelled at in this European Masters so far. Karmine Corp, through that really strong solo lane priority, have been able to put a lid on Akabane, and in general put a lid on that early pressure that Big have been able to put out. I think that's been one of the strengths. I think the desk touched on it really nicely. The strength of Karmine Corp does come through their early laning phase, especially through their solo laners. They kind of just let Matty get on with it on the bot side of the map, and Matty comes big late, comes big in the late game.
He does.
Taken again.
this is the difficulty of playing versus Karmine Corp. It's like, okay, so you found an answer for Saken, or you found an answer for Cabo. Oh look, now xMatty is doing things, and now you got to find an answer for him, and it's just really tough. Everyone on K Corp, they're just such a well-rounded team. For me, this is why they're the favourites coming into this tournament. I know they weren't able to beat out Misfits in the LFL final. That's not because KC is a weak team. LFL is just cracked right now. Absolutely, by far the best regional league. But of course, Duck want to make their own statement there. By winning the series, it would be a pretty good start. So we're going to get a little bit of trading here in the bot side.
Yeah, Matty just caught out by seaz there, and Keduii able to land a couple of stacks of that explosive charge. Rika, I mean, this is the problem that he's had in this matchup time and time again, just getting battered by Saken in this mid lane one-to-one, and the priority just out the window. I would say, though, Melonik has managed to generate a bit of priority on the top side of the map here. Cabochard hasn't yet to find significant damage with those dragon strikes, although I would say that Cinkrof is coming up, will scout out a ward, and get spotted out too, so I don't think Melonik's going to get caught out here. And I say that seaz, with another very, very bold engage, could get caught out by Targamas and Matty. Some low HP bars for Keduii and seaz. They've got to be a little careful here.
Yeah, no potions available for either of these bot laners now. They are sipping the last of their Sunny D. But of course, Bard, he has that regen. He has that sustain with his W. He will have that advantage right there. Big, I'm going to need to go for a pretty pretty quick reset here. As you can see, that is Keduii going for that recall right now. So no harm, no foul. Slight advantage from KC on those early game trades, but not going to be a big deal as far as the lane is concerned. We're just both ADCs just going for their early resets.
Let's get a bit of an invade onto the Krugs here from Akabane, just using that. Oh no, what am I talking about? He's literally his own Krugs. Oh my god, sorry, I just thought they were switched over for some reason. It looks like a scuttle for scuttle. No crazy antics around those scuttles. No crazy invade antics coming on, despite what I may have tried to tell you guys just a few seconds ago. Cinkrof is heading up towards that top side though. Melonik here does have to be careful. You talked about it. It is a dangerous matchup versus the Jarvan. He does have that ability to just straight up engage onto you, and Cinkrof can make your life even worse with that pillar following. And Melonik's just going to back out.
In that pure 1v1, it's difficult for Jarvan against Kennen, especially pre-6. But it's not going to be a pure 1v1. We've already seen Cinkrof hovering around top. That is the second time he's been there. He stomped out Vision twice. He's not going to let Melonik get any kind of breathing room in that top lane. And once that level 6 comes through from Cabo, there is no counterplay to that gank unless you flash out of it. And once your flash is down, then you are a sitting duck. KC are definitely going to look to exploit that, as we are seeing a bit of an invade here. KC's jungle.
Yeah, Rika finally able to get a little bit of priority versus Saken. Actually going to try and catch out Cinkrof, although I say that seaz and Akabane are completely isolated right now. And Matty jumping onto seaz, forcing the flash out of him. Saken looking for the engage, but it will be first blood going over to Rika as Keduii jumps in to support his team. And Berlin International Gaming get first blood.
This is what BIG do so well when they found their success in that early game in game number 1. They were able to come out on top of these skirmishes. It's very fine details right here, but they are going to get that first kill. They're going to find even more.
Oh, Cinkrof caught out by the chain CC. And seaz will pick up the kill here. And Berlin International Gaming, they are coming into this game throwing everything at Karmine Corp. They feel pretty confident. 2 kills in their back pocket. We'll take a look back at that invade.
And this can be the benefit of having comfort in your draft, is you just know how your champions work. You can see Keduii able to do a lot of stuff when he comes in eventually in this fight. The fact that you've got some pretty decent skirmishing, but also just the strength of champions right here. Look at that, Keduii jumping in, able to go really, really aggressive. And then for the second play as well, Cinkrof getting a little bit greedy. Considering there is a ward right there, they can see all of this happening. I mean, come on, man. You see that? You see that? Surely you see that. I mean, I guess Cinkrof just got a bit too greedy on that.
Maybe he just felt he could smite and walk away. You know, just was so eager not to give up his gromp. He just thought he could smite and walk away from that one. First dragon has spawned. Karmine Corp setting up around the River Scuttler. Whether they commit to this, looks like they will. As you can see, the Akabane is on the top side of the map right now. So this should be the first dragon of the game going the way of Karmine Corp. They have that mid lane prior right now. Saken and Keduii have backed. So it should be a relatively easy take on this dragon. Though I say that seaz is kind of gearing up to run distraction.
seaz might be in trouble here though. The rest of Big do not want to contest this one. Just going to be chilling right here. Caught in the resets. Both Rika and Keduii were in spawn when that dragon started. Instead, going to be the first dragon of the game going over to KC. I think that might just be the first time in this entire series that KC are going to pick up that first dragon.
I think you're correct.
Infernal.
I think seaz knew he had the backup of the hero's entrance should things have gone a little awry there. Maybe he was looking to bait a little bit for him. You talked about this engage. Melonik forced to flash out. That is why this matchup can be so dangerous for the Kennen. That HP bar just disintegrated from Melonik.
All right, and there it is. No flash, no teleport, no ulti. Melonik now has to play so cautiously, so respectfully, because it's so easy to kill him at this point. Once Cabochard's ultimate comes back off cooldown, you slap down that Cataclysm. Even just a pillar from Cinkrof now is so problematic for the Kennen. You can't navigate that at all. And he knows it. Look at this. Yeah, look at it.
Cinkrof's on the top side of the map. He wants to try and punish Melonik here. You can see that seaz knows it as well, has very heavily roamed towards this top side of the map, so wants to protect Melonik's return to the tower. I mean, Melonik has already lost a huge amount of minions to this push from Cabochard. And there's 20 CS down in this matchup as well. Although we'll say that it has returned in kind for Keduii, who picked up some plates on that bot side of the map.
This is the difficulty though, I'm glad you mentioned Keduii. The fact that seaz has to now roam to the top side to bail out Melonik. Hang about, I don't think they're going to get a kill here. Just going to walk away from this one. The fact that, oh, you know what, whatever. We're going to get a fight here. Is seaz going to find engage? He's only level 4. Everyone is topside right now, apart from Keduii. Everyone is moving up.
Yeah, and I think they've seen Ezreal moving up as well, and Big not going to commit to the Rift Herald. They are the team that generally likes to force that Rift Herald fight, but with Keduii not moving, happy to just continue to push these minion waves in, with xMatty hovering mid. Big did not want to make the play, and now that xMatty's moved back down towards the bot lane, Big feel a little bit more comfortable to gear up for this Rift Herald.
Now this is warded. I don't think KC are going to have anything to stop this one. Just going to let this one fall down. It will be the first Herald of the game going over to the German team. Very good start here in this game for them. They've had to kind of sloppy early games overall. Of course, if you are trying to get back into the series, you know, you lose this game, you're out. And having an early game, very important, especially for this team. Big are a very good early game team. It's how they found success previously in EU Masters. Honestly, entirely up until this point, they were the most dominant early game team. The fact that they haven't been able to find that so much against KC has really troubled them. Getting a better early game this time around is good news for the Germans.
What are they doing differently? That's kind of the question that I wanted to ask you. What have Big changed from this game, where they just seem to have a better handle on how to play these first 15 minutes?
That's a good question, honestly. I don't see like huge amounts of difference from the pure play styles. And I think the big difference is just that when these skirmishes happen, as we've seen it for the entirety of the series, these skirmishes will always happen, and whoever wins them just comes out ahead in the early game, and then they use that to snowball on. And this time around, it's Big's turn to win. I know this sounds like really awful, terrible level of analysis, but straight up, all these teams have been doing this entire series is butting heads and fighting, and it's just been a little bit stronger team comps this time around in that early game, so they can win these fights. A little bit of donations from Cinkrof as well, giving some kills over to Big. I think that's really the only difference right here, is just how they're able to play these skirmishes early on, and a lot of it comes down to the picks and specifically the comfort with the execution.
Keduii jumps in onto Targamas here. We have the engage coming through, not quite able to capitalize too far, but Matty gets bonked back. seaz picks up the kill. In the meantime, Melonik will be traded on that top side. You mentioned how vulnerable he is without the flash, and he will go down. But I think this should be first tower of the game going the way of Big.
This is massive right here. 6-10 going over to Keduii. Going to get a second charge on this one as well, and there's no real good answer from KC. They are going to be topside, getting a little sign of something happening up there. Not sure they'll be able to answer in kind, because this time's gone.
They might just lose a tier 2. That's worth a lot of gold as well.
It is.
I actually want to revisit that point that we were just talking about, because I think you made an excellent point when we were dissecting that jungle fight, and I think it actually plays into the way that Big have approached this early game. They essentially have said, all right, Melonik, we know you're in a bad matchup. We don't really want to invest resources into you. We've got Keduii on a comfort of Tristana. Let's play through Keduii. Let's make sure we've got prio bot side of the map. Let's play around having prio on bot side of the map, and that's where they found those skirmishes, and that's where they found those smaller engages in the early game. And you can see by the amount of gold that's been invested, Keduii has now been that carrier, that kind of like the backpack that has been set up for Big. And Keduii is now given that role, I think, for Big in this game to have the influence in this game.
Absolutely. The only downside is that he hasn't picked up any of the kills, but as you can see, he's not hurting for funds. He's very rich in this game. The only one above 5k gold right now in his back pocket. Way ahead of xMatty. Also, something that was a little bit underrated about that gold chart that we saw was that Akabane's about 1k ahead of Cinkrof as well. And that's great when you're playing a Viego, very self-sufficient, very carry-orientated jungler. If you can have that early advantage, then you can put a lot of pain down. You'll see that Akabane now in this Viego will be able to challenge the likes of Saken, xMatty, maybe even Cabochard as well. That might be asking for a lot, mind you, but still, he's another threat at this point for Big, and that's something they've really been lacking is multiple threats. But they're going to have the luxury of that this game.
I think also when you're running a Kennen, you know that as long as he can just press his ult. Like, he's running at least a small amount of distraction in a team fight. Like, he locks things up for a moment, and that allows Keduii to either get into a better position or find that first reset kill. And that's probably what we're looking for. Saken forced to flush away here as Rika goes in. That's the re-engage coming through. Keduii locked up in that CC, and he'll be forced to flush away. And that was a good engage by Targamas, just not able to fully commit to it there, and the Keduii flush right on time to get out of that engage.
I think if KC had vision in this bush that they're sitting in right now, where they just cleared that pink ward out, Cabochard could have followed up with the Cataclysm. He would have hit 3 people. Keduii had no flash. I don't think he had his jump up either. That would have been catastrophic right there for Big. But fortunately, the vision working out in their favor this time around. Not going to get that follow-up engage, and instead just going to be able to chill out a little bit. But you can see Cabochard, he's left his lane, now trying to move around with the rest of KC to get control of this map. They found Akabane.
Yeah, Akabane will be forced to use his ultimate to get away, but there will be the follow-up Cataclysm with the hero's entrance comes through, and finally Keduii, he's in the middle of nowhere, forced to flush out and jumps away, but he is taking a huge amount of damage in response as Cinkrof jumps forward. They can't quite find the killing blow. Keduii was in the middle of no man's land for the time being, and Big will get away from a face check in their own jungle, and in the meantime, Melonik knocking on that top lane tier 1.
Exactly, it was a 4v5. The crucial part of that fight was that Kennen wasn't there at all. You would think that really sucks for Big when your Kennen isn't around for a team fight. And yeah, it does suck, but fortunately they're able to just disengage. No harm, no foul right there. Really getting away with that one. Cabochard dedicating a lot of time, leaving that top side, allowing Melonik to get back into this game. They're equal in levels, very similar in farm right now as well. And of course, now you've got that TP going down from Cabo. You don't quite have the TP advantage for Big, but you will have it coming up first. Both Saken and Cabo's TPs are gonna come up after Rika's and Melonik's. See whether or not Big can leverage that to their favor.
Melonik has now finished up his belt as well, which is going to give him that slight extra bit of mobility when dealing with these teamfight situations. I will mention, Akabane has got a pretty solid lead over Cinkrof right now. He mentioned that he likes to be the carry jungler, less about playing for his team, more about taking that role himself. He's definitely got a good position to do it this game. We finished up the Divine Sunderer, the Iron Spikes starting to work in favor of Bell International Gaming as they go for this second Rift Herald fight. And it doesn't look like Karmine Corp are even bothered about this. They're going to let that slide straight over to Big.
So that would be 2 Heralds going to the side of Big. The first one was very, very impactful. It took down Plate's tower bot sides, funneled about 600 gold in the Keduii's pocket, and then they got the tier 2 as well, which was another 300. See Cabo getting a little bit caught out here, but it's... yeah, that's
the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling when you just sat in the Cataclysm with your ultimate. They're going to drop the Rift Herald top though. Keduii is here. I think Cabochard trying to desperately find his way out of this fight. And Melonik should be able to lock him up. The stun is there. They're going to chase him down. That Heart Stopper available to allow Akabane to get onto Cabochard. And they'll be able to pick up the tier 1. Yeah, check mid, you're right.
Yeah, this is it. KC's answer right here has to be something across the map. You've got to push in the bot side, you've got to push in mid. But that Herald went down, I think just died to the tower, if I'm not mistaken there. So that was, you know, you've got to get some kind of answer right here. You weren't quite able to take mid down, but you have got a decent amount of chip onto it. You're able to push down bot with Saken, who we've not really mentioned too much, but you can see the CS difference right here between Saken and Rika. That is significant. That is a significant difference right here. And the solo laners specifically, like Kennen, Galio, no one can match this Ryze at this point in the game. Absolutely no one. And despite Akabane's good start, he won't be able to match him either. Saken is farming up a storm. He is going to be a huge problem. Just finished the Mythic and had a large rod to buy with his spare change as well. Keep your eyes on the mid laner for KC. He's absolutely massive for these next fights.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because, you know, I think a lot of people might look over that and sort of look towards the scoreline and say, well, he's not been doing anything this game. But you're right, he's now 60 CS ahead of Rika. He's got a huge amount of gold. xMatty forced to arcane shift across the ball. Cabochard looking for the re-engage here as they get the stasis landed onto Akabane. Does have that hard stopper coming up soon, but not quite yet. So it is in a dangerous position for the time being, and actually commits very heavily. As they get the engage, there is the huge Kennen ultimate. The damage isn't there, but it's created enough distraction for Keduii to get the first kill of the fight, and he's going to jump in looking for Targamas, forces him to flush as well. This mid lane tier 1 is now open for the taking, and you can see that Corp cannot even defend it. That is the benefit of the Kennen here at Foxdrop. It allows Keduii to do his thing.
That it does, and the Kennen just sliding him forward, creating so much range, as you say. Tristana on the backside just gets so much damage through it, and that wasn't even really the ideal engage for Big. It was so close to KC's turret that they didn't have a lot of room to navigate, to keep chasing. And they didn't even get the combo with Galio ulti. Galio didn't press R in that fight. In fact, a lot of ultimates weren't used in that fight. Just a really good pick off on Cinkrof, who I have to say is... he's been caught out a decent amount, not just in this game, but in previous games as well. Has to be really careful of the pick potential from Big, which is, you know, the way they draft, it's always going to be significant. And also something just to take note on that damage chart there. Cabochard didn't get anything going. He's very big. He's very useful for KC right here. Just not able to find the in on that fight.
You can see Melonik actually, despite not looking like he did much, actually chunked out a decent amount of damage across the board here, but it was more that space that he created for Keduii that was the real winner in that fight. Berlin International Gaming, when the chips were down, when they had to perform, they've come out and really started to ramp things up here versus Karmine Corp. We could be looking at a Game 5. I won't count my chickens before they've hatched. I'd love to see a Game 5 in this matchup between two incredible teams, but Karmine Corp still have that strength of the Ryze to work with. They're looking to push down this mid lane tier 1.
This is the tricky part right now for KC. The go buttons on Big, they've got a lot of them. They've got the engage from Rell, they've got Kennen doing Kennen things, and then obviously the follow-up from Galio as well. You've got to respect that. And it's very easy to press advantages when you have engage, and very hard to do it when you lack engage. Big definitely not lacking any in that front for this one. KC just going to keep respecting that. I feel like there's been a bit of disrespect coming through from KC and their ability to navigate these team fights and just not get caught out in general by Big. This time around, with Big having the upper hand, with them having the gold lead, if you get caught out, you're in a pickle.
And speaking of being caught out, there's a lot of corralling around this bot side of the map where Cabochard is hiding in the brushes. Think has managed to ward away any suspicion, as it is, you know, very likely that he could have backed at this point, but he's going to stick around as Keduii shows himself in that mid lane, clears out those mid lane waves to stop the tier 1 being threatened.
Whoever goes up against Cabochard in this side lane is going to have a bit of an issue. This is the main advantage that KC have right now over Big. Is their 1-3-1 is far superior. Having that Ryze, having that Jarvan, both of those champions will easily beat out Kennen and Galio. It doesn't really matter what the lane assignments are. They're very strong solo laners. So Big are gonna have to pull the trigger. They're forced to make the issue here. Fortunately, of course, like I mentioned before, they have a lot of go buttons, so they can make that work. But if it comes down to just pure 1v1, if it's Cabochard plus Saken just doing their things in the side, KC are going to come out on top, and Big are going to find this gold lead, dwindle away from them, and they definitely can't afford to let off the pedal against a team like KC.
No, and I think you've raised a really nice point, because that 1-3-1 is where KC are now looking to invest. And I think for Big, they lost the first dragon, which has delayed that Dragon Soul, which again, we've talked about the time being given over to these teams because of that. Does look like Big are very well aware of what we were just talking about, and the Baron is being threatened, or at least being, you know, put on the cards for Berlin International Gaming right now. And that is going to try and bring Karmine Corp into like a 5v5 scenario where Big they feel that they're stronger.
Exactly. If you keep vision around this Baron area, you threaten the Baron, and then KC obviously not wanting to give that one up for free will come towards you. Targamas getting a little bit caught here, should be able to just walk away, gets poked out a little bit. Big can now use this chunk to get some vision denial on the jungle right here.
Yeah, and we obviously saw them gearing up for that Baron. Obviously, we have that's the likelihood where they're going to be heading towards in the next few minutes. We're back in, and it looks like Big are able to just keep that mid lane prio in their favor.
I mentioned that Saken's been firing up a storm, but like legit, 250 CS at 21 minutes. What the hell, man? It's just absolutely
that's pretty nutty. That's beyond 10 CS a minute right here. He's absorbing.
It's just legit. He is accumulating mass straight up, and at some point he is going to explode, and that is going to be very scary for Big, as they are looking to answer this 1v1 with forcing an issue on the other side of the map. I think this is very smart from Big. This is exactly what they have to do, especially with Tristana on your team, who can just pile through these towers like nobody's business. What does Saken get bot side? He might be able to just answer just by himself, in fact, with that solo push bot.
You also have to remember that this mid lane tier 1 is a tickle from going down, and they have to invest resources to prevent that from dropping if they want to keep it going. But Saken at this point not strong enough to take the tier 2 down by himself. And I do like what you mentioned for Bell International Gaming. They're just grouping, knowing that their advantage lies in numbers, knowing that their advantage lies in their team fight right now. That's what they're looking to capitalize on. And the next dragon spawning, the Soul Point Dragon, this will be an interesting decision for Karmine Corp. Do they want to fight this, or do they say another 5 minutes is perfectly okay by us?
Ooh, I think that's a very, very good question. I don't really know the answer because yeah, you do have Saken absolutely massive at this point. 2 items, more than anyone else in the game. Obviously Keduii, you know what, I'm lying, there's a lot of 2 items in the game, but still, I don't think that KC are going to necessarily want to contest, because the turn is just so strong from Big. Don't even have the vision set up, so instead it's just going to be giving over that dragon. As you mentioned, it is soul point for Big, but you are going to get some of that vision in the top side. At least get a little bit of respite around the Baron area.
And Karmine Corp are threatening Baron right now. They're trying to 2-man it with Saken and Cinkrof, and you can see Targamas, xMatty, and Cabochard running interrupt. Cinkrof is taking a bundle of damage right now. I think this is dangerous. Yeah, you can see Rika, he sniffed it out.
Whew. Yeah, okay, Cinkrof is very squishy right there. You don't really expect Trundle to take so much damage from Baron, but you know, he has been struggling a little bit. Hasn't had the same kind of farm. He's 2 levels down, for example, over Akabane. Now it is Big's turn to pull the trigger on the Baron. Are they going to dedicate? This could be very risky. They're going to pull out Saken's TP.
I mean, Cabochard felt like he had to go for this. That's a brilliant stasis from Targamas. There's a huge shield coming through. The true shot barrage is big, but Targamas has single-handedly saved Cabochard, potentially single-handedly saved the Baron.
What an ulti right there from Bard. That is beautiful stuff. Perfect. I don't know how he managed to hit everyone from Big and not Cabochard. That is just threading the needle right there. Keeps him alive. And as you mentioned, that very easily could have been the Baron right there for Big if Cabochard goes down, because he's their primary engage. He's the one that wants to jump in. He's the one that's going to be making that happen, and the rest of KC following suit. But without him on the board, it's very difficult for them to pull the trigger. It may have just been, wow, that is a big ulti right there from Targamas.
Yeah, huge ulti from Targamas, absolute monster in that fight. The Tempered Fate coming in clutch. And I think Cabochard had to make that face check. He was trying to cover the flank from seaz. He knew that seaz was in the brush. He had to kind of at least threaten the engage there for Karmine Corp, because otherwise the Baron would have just dropped. But Targamas coming up big when he needs to. Huge win for Karmine Corp, because they could have easily lost the game at that point.
Absolutely, and this is a very important game for both these teams. We're going to get a fight. Let's go.
Yeah, xMatty has to arcade shift forwards. He's actually now out of the fight as Melonik comes in. That is a really nice disengage from the Kennen ultimate. The shutdown is there. This could be it for Karmine Corp. Cabochard with the stasis. It is a win as he goes for the second engage. A double kill for xMatty. He baits them in and he chops them down. Rika now taken down on the sideline. Keduii finds something back, but it is a all-out win for Karmine Corp here as xMatty is on a killing spree.
And now it's going to be the Baron for the French team. What a comeback in that team fight right there. You saw the engage from Big that had the TP flank as well. I'm not 100% sure what stopped Melonik's engage. I think it was the Trundle pillar. I think maybe it was that. Either way, the disengage from KC coming in clutch from that play right there. The fact that Big weren't able to get that combo, get that slicing maelstrom into the backline, followed up with the Galio, just didn't happen. They're going to be kind of low on this one.
They really...
Nope, they're fine. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. Question mark? Question mark?
Smiley face? Oh no! Keduii's found the angle here. I think Cinkrof could just be dead at the end of this. Now Matty has to be careful. He's surely going to go down as he's forced to arcane shift away. Keduii blocked up by Targamas again. Targamas coming in clutch in these small skirmishes, keeping his teammates from disaster. We are a small goal difference. I would really love to go and look back at that fight that preceded Baron. I really want to know, as you did, what stopped that Kennen ultimate from getting further into the fight, because that was the big thing, right?
Yeah, we were having some technical difficulties with the Observer, so I don't know for sure if we have replays available right now.
Yeah.
So, whatever it was, KC need to do more of that. That's exactly their ticket for success. And
it was either a Jarvan knockup or it was obviously a killer.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I saw them bouncing in the air a little bit. So yeah, I think you might be right. I think it was Cabo actually. As he's now building into that Guardian Angel, he had that stopwatch so that he could throw himself in, interrupt the engage, and then not instantly go down. And I think Jay, very, very smart pick at this point in the game for that Jarvan to do a similar thing. But now it is big on the back foot. Look at this.
Flame Horizon from Saken, by the way. 100 CS over Rika. They are... I mean, he's got Rabadon's death cap. I think the tables might be turning in these teamfight capabilities. You now got Saken, who is absolutely 100% online. Matty catching up to what Keduii can do as well. I think Corp, they found their mojo back here. They're in full swing, and with the next dragon spawning in under a minute, Karmine Corp are setting up for another big fight.
And this is it, right? This is the thing. It now just comes down to execution, because you have win conditions on both teams. You have players that can carry these team fights. As you mentioned, Saken on the side of KC. Matty's pretty big as well. And it's just Keduii for Big right now. The thing is, can Big set up these fights? It's difficult. You have to jump in with a slicing maelstrom. You have to then get in with the hero's entrance as well. And they weren't able to find it last fight. And you can see what happens when Big fluff up their combo. But they need to make it work to give Keduii the space to win these team fights.
Saken in this sideline. Who can deal with this madman right now?
Level absolutely 17.
I know, it's disgusting. They have given him time and space, and it's been difficult to punish, and Saken is making them pay. This is a 5-man group up on this bot side with the Baron. You can see that Melonik not in the position for it, doesn't have flash available either, so that flank potential is limited from the Kennen. And going to pick up 2 quick towers on the bottom side of the map.
Big don't have an answer for this right now. Are they going to go for that engage? Cabo has the TP. He's a little bit forward here, but it's all good. It's all good. KC going to move up as well. Here comes the fight. Never mind.
So, he's going to back off. I think Cabochard in a strong enough position to just kind of allow his team to make these plays. That is the... Oh, it's a big one! It's a big tempered play again, and the follow-up from Cabochard is huge as Keduii's left alive. It is a beautiful zoning ult from Melonik for the time being. That is a big peel back from KC, but Saken is absolutely crushing right now. It's enough for Karmine Corp to get the 1 kill onto Rika here, but they're going to be pushing down for more. They want these Nexus towers.
They might just be able to get it as well. What answer do Big have?
They have the engage onto Saken as he drops. That is a big pickup. That is the huge threat that is down right now, as now Berlin International Gaming chase down xMatty and Cinkrof, taking him down, forcing him away, as Akabane may be a little bit overextended. The rest of Big should be able to help out here. As you can see, the Keduii's jumped in, Cinkrof getting locked down. You're going to see xMatty taking down 2. The shutdown there for Keduii. Should be able to pick up Cinkrof too. Bit off more than they could chew, and they might just be able to run it down mid, my man.
Melonik TP'd into mid while that skirmish bot side was happening, while Big were picking up the last members of KC. I don't think they've got the time for this one. Saken's up in 20 seconds, and yeah, Melonik's there, but it's just him. They will get this inhibitor. I feel like KC can hold on for this one just for a little bit longer, yeah, especially with Baron that tempered fate. But holy moly, what a team fight win for Big.
Oh my god, it's all up to Targamas again. Can Targamas keep his team alive? He's going to keep that at least one Nexus tower going for the meantime. The second one should be dropping down. Targamas, he refuses the stopwatch, but they're going to be forcing down the Nexus. They don't care about the fight. They just want the win. Berlin International Gaming will take them both though. Kills and Nexus. And they'll find themselves into a series, a best of 5 all the way here. One game to make it all.
We're in game 5. What happened? KC were positioned to end that game. They were in the spot to end that game.
Dude, they threw. They absolutely threw.
Oh my goodness, yo, what a game. What a game though from Big, perfectly played. Comfort picks coming through. Keduii and Tristana. Who'd have thought? You just ban that away from him, man. He's so good at this champion.
Dude, honestly, I really feel like Karmine Corp should have won, but they got too greedy.
Yes.
Like the inhibitor is good. You take inhibitor, you run away, and that's good. And then they went for the end. It was a 4 versus 5. They felt without Rika, maybe some CC that was lacking to lock down Saken, but Saken just way too far up at those Nexus towers and got punished for it. Beautiful turnaround from Big. They almost threw that game from what was a really excellent team fight from Karmine Corp in the mid before the Baron. But honestly, big props to Big, because they held on and they picked their moment, and something that Big has done excellently throughout this series has been finding those little moments where it counts the most to have the impact, and they've done it again here, and they've forced us to a game 5.
Their team play, their team fighting is very, very scary. You've got to respect that if you're KC, and honestly, coming off the back of that game, I feel like KC, they had what they wanted for a lot of that game. They were winning that last team fight around Baron, but Big just found a way to pull it out. And I don't even know what to call for this game 5. I thought for sure this was going to be KC winning 3-1.
You feel like KC still come in just as the overall series favorites based on how they've played, but you've seen just single mistakes can sometimes throw a game on its head, and Berlin International Gaming are taking us all the way here. Let's go! We'll see you after the break.
gonna flash in, and he steals the bird! How did that connect by anyway?
And welcome back to the desk for our last breakdown of the day, and we will be heading to Game 5 as Big take down Karmine in an epic battle once again. And I gotta say, it's the first Game 5 we get in the Amazon EU Masters, guys. I'm so happy.
At last! we swapped it from best of 3 to best of 5 from the quarters. All quarters went to maximum 4 games, but I felt like if we're talking about the most competitive series that we expected out of quarters and semis, this must be it. It is. We're going to lose one of the 2 teams that we expected to have in the finals alongside Mrs. Premier. And oh my God, it's going down to the wire.
Yeah, but I mean, it's looking good for your predictions so far.
Yeah, they're still in with a chance if K-Corp can bounce back. And I think the main thing I want to take away from this one is I think Big found that early success. And again, they gave the Ryze over, so it wasn't around mid lane, but they had priority in the bot lane and they invaded. And the critical thing was they did that before the Ryze was really that relevant. So the Ryze joins in with the fight. He does a couple of combos, he's out of mana, he's not contributing too much, and they managed to find that early advantage, which didn't actually matter that much in the end, but the critical thing is they got Keduii ahead, but it was such a messy back and forth game.
I feel like there was a tweet from Keduii a few months back or something where he was like, when in trouble or when in doubt, Ezreal Tristana, and it's gonna go fine. And I feel like that was literally the entire story for this game. It had to come down to Keduii to 1v9, to pull and drag the rest of Big through towards that finish line. And not that the rest of the members are lacking anything to carry themselves. I think the early game, that mid prior is just constantly handicapping them.
Yeah, and I want to say we have the drafts behind us, and I know, Trouble, you wanted to touch on the priorities for Big. When they have the first pick, when they look at what K-Corp is doing, but I mean, to me, picking Viego when you know that Trundle is open is taking a big risk.
It's the Viego, it's the fact that Rika is an insane Ryze player, so you can technically pick it for yourself, and then you will also have the priority, you will also have the roaming capabilities with his ultimate, so you'll be able to do exactly what Saken has been doing consistently all 4 games that we have watched. I feel like if that is not something you want to play towards, then it's fine. But then I feel like Keduii got a lot of attention, yes, but it came down to the very nitty-gritty and Keduii making sure that he doesn't jump accidentally into his death, trying to min-max the scenario because he has to carry himself.
It could have gotten dangerous, but on the side of K-Corp, it feels like there was maybe a bit too many misplays on their side.
I was just that big one at the end where they try to end. They had a man advantage, but it was 5 against 4. Saken oversteps with no flash, dies. You against Viego, you against Tristana, that's reset city. It's like it was obviously Big kept it competitive, so that one mistake was enough for them to get back into it. But it was a big mistake to get them back in. And this is a bit early, and this is kind of what I was talking about before, how there was that bot lane priority that they used to translate into an aggressive invade. And obviously Saken is here, but he's matched by Rika, and at this point of the game, the Galio is a lot more relevant. They're able to jump on this bard and force them away, and then obviously Cinkrof also being punished here.
I just feel this is something that we have seen over and over again from G2, especially when they're playing the Tristana. They will shove in their bot wave, and then they will move into the opponent's jungle to try and shove them out, maybe get a kill. And right here, I think Big are being given 2 big kills for themselves, and they're pushing away xMatty completely off of the tower. But I cannot. Cabochard has just playing out of his damn mind this entire series. The way he was baiting Melonik to use his ultimate and then jump out. The way he was locking in the Kennen time and time again to not reach the backline. The way he was playing the fights, seeing who he can lock in, making sure he min-max every single scenario. I think that I know that Cabochard has been making the flashiest plays other than the Lee Sin that he's played, but I feel like he's probably one of the most, if not the most valuable player right now in K-Corp.
He's the clutch player in this series, but also, I mean, when you look at this game, Big had everything we wanted from them, especially in the early game. They managed to do this big I don't want to say save the game basically from K-Corp being too hasty to finish the game.
Yep.
But I was expecting to see Big more explosive after this really good early game from them.
Yeah, it felt like they sort of lost a grip on the game in the mid game, and K-Corp's team fighting was really excellent. And honestly, if it wasn't for this overstep from K-Corp, right, they got the bot inhibitor, they could have reset, they could have moved top, they could have moved mid, they had options, but they just kind of rushed it, and they got punished. And I think a big standout, one of the people who did punish him, is seaz on this Rell. He's played it twice this series, and both times he's looked absolutely flawless, able to consistently challenge, find the engages. And it was there at the end, it was Akabane hitting with the stun, and then the Rell followed up. And it's like, we had this hyper-fed Ryze, Flame Horizon and everything, just not able to do anything. And that's the thing, right? This Ryze was so strong, but 8k damage, it was farming simulator.
It's a story of bot laners here, trouble, without any surprise.
I mean, Matty's extremely dangerous when he is on the Ezreal. It's one of his favorite champions. And again, remember the tweet from Keduii. When in trouble, Tristana Ezreal it. And xMatty has found his comfort onto the Ezreal. Keduii has found his comfort on one of his strongest champions, which is that Tristana. And to me, it just feels personal. Keduii is like, fine, if we can't win through our jungle mid, I'll take it all on me. I'll pick the Tristana. We'll play for priority bot, and then we'll bleed our pressure through there. And it's worked, but it's barely worked. I feel like this was K-Corp's game to lose.
This was such a close one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what happens next, because going into Game 5, I was not expecting K-Corp to be challenged so much, but yet again, I expected big things from Berlin International Gaming today. So who has the momentum? We saw Akabane tweet between the game like 3 minutes ago saying, hey, first Game 5 I'm going to play in my life. Who's got the advantage here from what we've seen so far then?
I feel like despite the fact Big won that game, I feel like K-Corp have looked better this series, and I feel like it was one mistake at the end of the game. And I think the way Big are getting to the point they're winning games isn't super reliable. I think K-Corp should have this 5th one, but I don't think it's clear-cut. They just need to cut down on the mistakes, because that is what has really cost them both this one and the game they lost earlier, was just individual mistakes and getting caught out.
Yeah. We'll see what they can do here. They picked the blue side in Game 5, and it all comes down to this in this first EU Masters semi-finals. As K-Corp and Big advance to Game 5, we'll see which team has what it takes to take it all the way to finals right after the break. See you soon.
He's gonna flash in, and he steals the farm. How did that connect by injury?
Fini! As EU Masters champions,